Blood, an increase in reticulocyte. Nucleated erythrocyte also confirmed. Bone marrow, hyperplasia of erythroblast. No abnormality in its formation.
It's vampires.
Could it be that hematopoiesis is accelerating because large amounts of red blood cells are being consumed? There's still no external or internal bleeding, though.
It's vampires!
Both the serum bilirubin and LDH are normal. The Coombs test result is negative, and it's not hemolysis either. The more I think about it, the more I feel I've ruled out every possibility. Something doesn't add up.
It's vampires, you freaking moron! Okay, that's it. I quit. I've seen Vampire Knight, and I read Twilight. I am sick and tired of these prissy vampires that just... Oh. Never mind. Shiki is a 24-episode horror mystery fantasy series based on the novel by Tsuyomi Ono in 1998. December 2007 saw the release of the manga, while in 2010, Studio Damune and director Tetsuro Amino released the series, which is currently licensed by Funimation. When citizens of a secluded village begin dying off in alarming numbers, the Seoul Hospital's head doctor tries desperately to save his patients, but his efforts are in vain.
All of them. Gigoro, Hiremasa, Old Lady Miyako, young Megumi Shimizu, Giichi, and Fuki. Every last one of them. I have no clue why they died.
Entire families are wiped out, while others desert their homes. All hell breaks loose as the villagers discover their loved ones' corpses are rising from the grave, with an insatiable thirst for human blood. Who is safe when the urge to kill in order to survive blurs the line between man and monster? Starting off with the art style, Shiki's is very much stylized and even artistic at points. Studio Damune, from what I've gathered so far, is a rather artistic kind of studio. It doesn't have a lot of credits under its belt, with Shiki being the last series they produced in 2010. Something to note is the OVA series they produced, Les Portraits de Petite Cosette, another fairly artistic work. Shiki obviously had the bigger budget than a lot of the series they produced, and it shows. From the lighting and colors to its moments of artistic detail and music, every second of Shiki is almost flawless, and I could possibly recommend this series based on animation alone. Speaking of music, the soundtrack is one of those that can fit every situation perfectly and give it the right mood. Yasuhara Takanashi did an amazing job making Shiki into very much a mood piece with the music he created. From burials to fights to those moments of realization, the soundtrack is stunning and warrants a listen regardless of what you think of the series. Coming from the person who also did the soundtracks for Ayakashi, specifically Baki Neko, and Hellgirl, this comes as no surprise. I just mentioned that I can recommend the series based on animation alone. Now here's where we start seeing its flaws. The story of Shiki is basically separated into 3 parts, which we'll call Investigation, Discovery, and War. Each part is as it sounds. You have the first third of the series, where we have people dying left and right and no one knows what's going on. The second third is when our 2 main characters try to expose and destroy the creatures they have discovered. And the last third, I don't really think I need to explain. As much as it was to painfully watch, the first 2/3 of the series are pretty well paced. I've seen a lot of vampire-related things, and it's always a huge bother when I sit there and the characters don't know it's vampires and I start yelling at the screen. At the same time, since the vampires aren't the Twilight/Vampire Knight ones we've been seeing as of late and or the real deal, I can completely forgive the series for this. My bigger problems lie with the last third of the series. I don't know why, but the ending alone seems off to me somehow. It left a decent amount of plot holes that, in no way, will ever be filled, and it kind of bugs me. I can't go into detail for fear of spoilers, but it took me a few times to watch the last third in order for me to get some sort of understanding of what's going on. I guess it means that some of the plot went out the window, too. The characters are a very interesting mix. You don't just stick to the humans throughout the entire series, You also get some time with some of the Shiki and listen to their stories to the point where you can start sympathizing strongly with at least one of them. For me, that'd be Nao Yasamori. Her struggles as a Shiki and her desire to have her family with her on the other side is one of the well-developed side plots in the series. I even cried during certain parts of her story. Sympathizing with the Shiki in the series helps with one of its major themes that I'll get into in a little bit.
Is it because I was the one who invited Seishiro Kirishiki to come visit? But I wasn't the only one. June invited the Kirishikis over too. This isn't fair. You agree, don't you, June? Surely you see the unfairness of it. And you feel sorry for me, right?
As for the rest of the characters, Shiki names two major characters, Natsuno Yuki and Dr. Ozuki. Natsuno is a big city kid forced to move to a small town against his will. He can be rather cold and serious, but it's only because he doesn't want to be friends with anyone or gain any sort of attachment to anyone.
Good morning, Yuki. Staring off towards the city, huh? Feeling homesick?
Not her again.
Dr. Ozuki is part of a prestigious family in the village and runs the local clinic. However, with the Shiki threatening the village, Ozuki does a few very crazy things in order to destroy them. One of which involves experiments on a newly born Shiki, who also happens to be his wife.
You've got good timing. Think you could give me a hand cleaning this up?
The other two major characters in Shiki are Seishin Moroi and Tsuneko. Moroi is the junior monk at the Temple of Sotoba and Ozuki's childhood friend. Their clashes throughout the series about whether or not the Shiki are monsters and should be destroyed was a big part of their relationship and is, again, part of that theme I'll get into. As for Tsuneko, she is the leader of the Shiki and has a fascination with Moroi for more than just the stories he writes. You can basically say that Tsuneko is the driving force for the rift between these childhood friends.
But still, don't you find it particularly terrible when two very young people have their lives cut short?
I think death is equally terrible for everyone. Young people, old people, the good, the bad, it's always the same. It's rather fair in its treatment. There's no such thing as a particularly terrible death, and that's why it's frightening. Your behavior and age, your personality, your wealth, beauty, your personal beliefs, all the things that add up to make us who we are, they only matter while we are alive. Death makes every last one of them null and void, so any death is terrible.
Last but not least,
Open the door right now!
Excuse me! What's all the commotion about?
we have a resident badass with the weird fashion sense, Tatsumi. Tatsumi works for Tsuneko and is one of the major wranglers of the Shiki. He helps the newborns become comfortable with their new way of life and is willing to punish them for disobeying.
No, please, I'll stay!
I told you that we considered you a close friend now, didn't I? Do you really want the others to see you acting like you're better than everyone else?
I don't, but...
You should know that I'm special, even among our kind. For example, I don't need to sleep during the day and I'm fine in the sunlight, so it'd be no problem for me to drag you outside after you fall asleep. Or I could simply hammer a stake into your heart and chop your head off. But instead, I'm gonna do what I can to keep you in line and make sure you're part of our community.
Overall, the majority of the characters of Shiki are well developed. Some more than others, but that's how it should be. The story belongs to Dr. Ozuki and Moroi since they are the major players in this war against the monsters. Do we still benefit from characters like Natsuno, Tsuneko, and even Nao? Heck yeah, we do! But if I had to pin down who the story is about, then Ozuki and Moroi would be the first ones to come to mind. Now that my big character spiel is done, I can move on to the dub. When Funimation originally released the series, their ads were kind of, what's the word? False. Anyway, with the dub for Shiki, it was very enjoyable to listen to. Sure, there was some slight snags here and there, but with the amount of seasoned veterans that was in this cast, I couldn't help but get past those and just enjoy myself. And with a cast like this, why wouldn't you? Christopher Sabat, Lucy Christian, J. Michael Tatum, Todd Haberkorn, Stephanie Young, Alexis Tipton, Jamie Marshy, Chris Burnett, Tia Ballard, Charmy Lee, Jerry Jewell. The list just goes on and on. I have to throw in some credit to Ian Sinclair as Tatsumi and Cynthia Krantz as Nao Yasumori. For Sinclair, he plays equal parts silly and lovable with serious and rather menacing. As for Krantz, she made Nao into a monster who has her regrets. As I said before, Nao is one of the biggest reasons why you can almost sympathize with Ishiki. Both Sinclair and Krantz certainly were the underdogs of the series, in my eyes, and played their roles well. I also have to give credit where credit is due, and say that I loved seeing David Wald as Dr. Ozaki, and John Bergmeyer as Seishin Moroi. I haven't seen Wald do much else, but as Ozaki he brings in a mix of calm intellect with slight madmen added when the time is right. As for Bergmeyer, his performance as the junior monk with a very big moral dilemma is very believable. Combining these two voice actors and their interactions with each other make for some of the series' most serious moments into what I can almost say as real-life situations. I mentioned before that Shiki has some major themes, the biggest one being is his morals and whether or not killing someone who is no longer human justified as murder or pest control. This debate is seen heavily played out through Ozaki and Moroi. Ozaki blames the Shiki for the deaths in the village and wants them gone because they are murderers, while Moroi sees the Shiki still as human, just different in regards to their likes and dislikes. He sees the deaths as Shiki getting meals and just trying to survive in a village. Although it does take Moroi a while to come to this conclusion, his conversations with Tsuneko and seeing what Ozaki has turned into become the catalyst in Moroi's final decision in the latter half of the series.
You think there was a better option? I had to make a decision quickly. I can't allow their contamination to spread unchecked, so I'll hunt the Shiki. That's my justice.
Taking a life is never justice. No matter what kind of noble cause you're fighting for, it's still murder.
Most people will obviously pick the side of Ozaki in that the Shiki should be destroyed. However, because some people may have grown attached to some of the Shiki through the screen time we get, I wouldn't be surprised if some people would go to their side and defend them. I know, at least for me, this debate left me with some internal questions. Because of this, Shiki can be seen, in a sense, as thought-provoking both philosophically and psychologically.
I'll be okay. It's not that difficult. I'll be okay.
By the dawn of a new day, Shiki brings back our classic vampires into a modern-day story and has almost no flaws except for some grave-sized plot holes that have no intention of ever being filled. But looking past that, we have amazing characters, and we even are left with some thought-provoking questions about our own morals and ethics. I highly recommend Shiki based on its animation, music, characters, and its themes. If you're looking for a series that, well, revamps the vampire genre, you can't look no further than Shiki. But if you're not really interested in vampires to begin with, I'd skip this one. Though I do have to say, everyone should at least watch Shiki once. Well, that's it for me. Next time, we tell someone we love them. Until next time, otaku on, my friends.
この腕の中あっち